Evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. We are still on chapter 2 of book 1, which is creation. Today we are going to start on question 50, population of the earth, Adam. Can you read for us, Philip? Thanks.
I hope so. Did the human race begin with one man only? No. The man known as Adam was neither the first nor the only man who populated the earth.
Okay. So, the Adam is present in many of the major religions. The Bible talks about Adam. The Muslims have Adam as an origin of races. Even in the Eastern religions, there is some sort of the idea of first man. Genesis, the Old Testament, Genesis talks first as Adam being a race, and then as Adam being an individual. But as we research progressed and learn more about the evolution and how Earth was populated, we understand that Adam is just a figure of a symbol of the beginning of humankind, and not really someone that started humankind as it is believed in some religions. And again, there are still some sects of the evangelicals or that believe in the creation of Earth at 4,000 years ago and deny science. So continues to believe that Adam was the first one on Earth. But the Spirit tells us here, 170 years ago, that Adam was neither the first nor the only man who populated Earth. So again, it's a religious concept that has no relation to what science has found out. Okay.
51.
Yep.
Is it possible to determine when Adam lived? Adam lived approximately around the time that you attribute to him, about 4,000 years before Christ. The man that we refer to as Adam was one of the people who survived one of the great disasters that changed the Earth's surface over the course of history. He became the foundation of one of the races that populate our planet today. The laws of nature dictate that it would be impossible for the amount of progress that we know to have been accomplished by humanity long before Christ to have been accomplished so quickly if it had only existed since the time of Adam. Some have dubbed the story of Adam a myth or allegory, personifying the earliest ages of the world, a belief that currently stands as the most reasonable.
Okay, so Kardec asked the spirits when did Adam lived, and the spirits confirmed that there was an Adam that lived 4,000 years before Christ, and then Kardec goes into explaining that this person, that is this man that is referred as Adam, was one of the people who survived one of the great disasters that changed the Earth's surface. What can be inferred from combining the religious and science is that and after one cataclysm that destroyed humanities or part of humanities on Earth, an individual that survived and started repopulating the Earth, that religions believe that it was the beginning, called Adam. But again, as we know from science nowadays, the origin of humankind is that humans started from diversion from other great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, that we have the same ancestry, some 6-7 million years ago. That's what science tells us. So again, it's an allegory. It's again, we don't have any proof that he existed or didn't exist. But what we know is that he was not really the first human being on the planet. This is proved by science. Okay, Danny.
I could stay in this topic the whole night. It's very polemic, right? Before I understood that in my head, I thought that the Christians who deny that we have the ancestors coming from not from Adam, let's say, they denied the existence of everything else before Adam. So before 1,000 years ago, they denied.
Yeah.
Now I come to understand that they don't deny what comes before. It existed, everything was there, but human race is not Adam is the first human race on earth.
Human being.
Human being, yes, the first human being on earth. So it helped me to understand a little bit, like, how can they deny science so much, which they are not denying in a way that I thought that, okay, nothing existed before. They don't accept several theories that science proved.
Science proves. Theory.
Science proved, but they don't accept it. And human race is directly from Adam, and Eve comes out of Adam, and they were the first ones who procreated, and then everybody else was procreating among themselves. So I think sort of explains human race for this group. And I don't think it's only the evangelicals. I think several Christian groups believe that. Several. It's a lot of people.
As far as I know, is some sects of the evangelical or the Protestants that believe in that. And again, they are denying science. So we in Spiritism, we stay with science. If science proves Spiritism wrong, we stay with science. Science has found remains of humans from 50,000 years ago. That's when what's so-called the Homo sapiens sapiens, which is our category today, existed, right? So the present evolution of human beings comes from like 50,000 years ago. So we stay with science. We cannot discuss things that beliefs that other people have that have been disproved by science. It's the same thing, you know. If people want to believe that the earth is flat, there's, you know, science proved that the earth is round. If they want to continue believing the earth is flat, there's nothing we can do. We're not going to, you know, to kill them or impose the truth or anything like that. Eventually they will learn what science has taught us. And nowadays we are questioning science actually for a lot of different things, going beyond the discoveries of science. You know, the advancements of science have been denied in terms of vaccination, in terms of health, in terms of many other things. Again, we have to respect others' opinions, but if you want to call yourself a spiritist, you have to follow science. Otherwise, you are going against one of the basic precepts of Spiritism, which is the scientific aspect that combines the spiritual science with the physical science. But the the idea of an atom that lives within what science tells us is acceptable in a sense, in the sense that, it's a beautiful story, like many allegories that you find in the Bible, and we have to accept and respect. Orlando is asking if I'm confused when we use the word humans and spirits. Was Adam an incarnated spirit? According to the beliefs of the Christians, of those that believe that Adam was the first man on earth, yes, was an incarnated spirit. We use humans for inhabitants of planet Earth. We use spirits for all of the creation that are part of the intelligent principle. A spirit that is incarnated in Jupiter, it's not a human. It's a spirit with whatever name you have for Jupiter. So humans are incarnated on Earth. Again, this is a definition we use to make things easier for us, but you can use it if if people like to call humans all incarnated spirits everywhere, that's fine also. There is no rule that says that humans are only incarnated on Earth. Spirits are all of incarnates and discarnates. Spirits are the God's creation from the intelligent principle that are on the evolutionary journey, both incarnated and discarnated. Okay, Danny. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about the human race.
Diversity of the human race. What causes the physical and moral differences in the diversity of the human race on Earth? Climate, lifestyles, and habits. The same differences are produced in two children born to the same mother but raised apart from one another under different conditions, bear no moral resemblance to each other.
This is very interesting because the spirits are telling us here that the origin of the difference of physical moral differences are according to the evolution of the spirit. So it has nothing to do with the physical appearances. But physical appearances on Earth depends on the climate that the spirits, the incarnated spirits, lived and evolved. So we have the different races inhabiting different parts of the world. When you are in the northern countries of Europe, you tend to be whiter because you need to absorb as much light as you can. Your physical body needs to absorb as much light as you can. When you are in a tropical country, again, we're talking about the origin of the races, not where they are nowadays, because nowadays we have travel all over and mixed, but the origin. Tropical places, you have darker skin to protect from the sun, which is, it's our evolutionary path that makes us, our human bodies make a good use of the environment to protect ourselves and to evolve. So that's the difference of climate and places where we are. The moral differences that we find on human races are different levels of evolution of spirits. So spirits more evolved and less evolved. We are more or less, the type of spirits that are incarnated on Earth are more or less the same level of evolution. Again, the more or less meaning we are all imperfect spirits still struggling to evolve. Well, of course, we have more evolved spirits that already work for the goodness of humankind, and you have spirits that are still focused on taking personal advantages of everything. According to the book I Came Back, Voltaire, 2/3 of the spirits incarnated on Earth are still coming from the instinct to the intelligence, and 1/3 is moving from intelligence to morality. So still, as we move into a world of regeneration, we are going to have a change in this division, and more spirits that are moving from intelligence to morality will live on Earth, and less spirits that are moving from instinct to intelligence. Okay, but these are different levels of spirits. Has nothing to do with races, right? Races have to do with the origin of where these spirits were living when they start developing. Okay.
53.
Yep.
Was humankind born at various points around the planet? Yes, and at various times. This is one of the causes of diversity in the human race. The earliest people spread out across different climates and combined with other races, which form new ethnic groups. Do these differences constitute different species? Of course not. All of these different people are a single family. Do the differences between the varieties of the same fruit stop them from being the same species?
I thought when I was reading the second part, I thought about apples, right? You go to buy apples, there are so many different apples, and they're all apples. So it's the same thing with us, right? We are the same species, we are a single family. It's just that we are different ethnicity. Now, with this question, I went to science to read a little bit about what science tells us about the evolution of us as human beings. So, starting with the common ancestry, humans, along with other great apes, such as I mentioned before, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, share a common ancestry that dates back billions of years. Fossil and genetic evidence suggests that humans and chimpanzees diverged from a common ancestor around 6-7 million years ago. And we'll talk about that in terms of spirits when I finish reading. Hominid evolution, the evolutionary lineage leading to modern humans, known as hominins, included several extinct species that lived over the past several million years, and those include the Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, which are the Neanderthals, and others. The emergence of Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens, or anatomically modern humans, are believed to have originated in Africa around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. Fossil evidence from sites such as one in Morocco and another one in Ethiopia supports the idea that early Homo sapiens evolved in Africa before spreading to the other parts of the world. Migration and dispersal. Genetic studies indicate that Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa in multiple waves, eventually colonizing other regions in the world. These migrations are believed to have occurred beginning around 60 to 70,000 years ago. Early populations spread across Eurasia, reaching regions such as Europe, Asia, and eventually Americas. There was interbreeding with other hominins. Genetic evidence suggests that early Homo sapiens populations interbred with other hominin species, such as Neanderthals and Denisovans, during their migrations out of Africa. This interbreeding left a genetic legacy in modern human populations outside of Africa, with individuals of non-African ancestry carrying small amounts of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA. So those that are in Africa didn't interbreed because these races were not in Africa. And alongside biological evolution, humans have undergone significant cultural and behavioral changes over time. These include development of complex social structures, tool use, language, and symbolic behavior, which have contributed to the success and adaptability of our species. So overall, the scientific understanding of human origin is based on a combination of fossil evidence, genetic studies, and archaeological findings. Research continues to refine our understanding, but the current consensus is that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and subsequently dispersed and diversified across the globe through migration and adaptation on different environments. Now, this is science, and this is science related to a human race. It doesn't talk about spirits. According to what we know in Spiritism, spirits from other planets incarnated on Earth. And one example that we have, and we study in the book On the Way to the Light, the Adamic races were exiles mixed with exiles from Capella, which is a constellation, and some planets that are at level of advancement a little further than Earth, that came to Earth around 10 to 15,000 years ago, and divided in four main groups: the Egyptians, and you can see the pyramids. Another one went to what's today Iraq and Iran. Another one went to India and the sub-Indian, and the other went to what we call today Europe, in that region that became Europe. And these four groups are mixed, use of course, physical body of the spirits that were already here, and continue their journey. They brought a lot of knowledge. You see the pyramids, and brought a lot of intellectual knowledge, but still not much of a moral evolution, which, we developed with time. So when someone asks if you descend from your ancestral is a chimpanzee, you can say your physical body, yes. You as a spirit, no. You came from another planet, most likely. According to On the Way to the Light, there are very few remaining original spirits that started on Earth their first incarnation. There are very few left, mainly some of the Australian natives, and some natives in South America also. But in general, we are all spirits that came from other worlds. Dani.
So you mean that there are few left because of the mix, or why there are few left? Like why they didn't continue? Because of the...
They eventually, a few left because we have how many people were incarnated 15,000 years ago, right? Now we have 8 billion. So the number of original, if you say that we have 1 million left, 1 million over 8 billion is different of 1 million over 15 million that used at that time. The spirits that were the primitive spirits that were the original inhabitants of planet Earth, either they moved to another planet, which is something that happens, or they evolved, they moved to other planets and came back. So again, they don't give a reason in the book On the Way to the Light. They just say that there are few of them left here on Earth. Orlando, that's not what we're discussing. I'm not going to answer that. All the spirits that incarnate here follow the natural law of God, with the law of the reincarnation is a natural law. So spirits less evolved are reincarnating and acting on their inferior tendencies and committing crimes and making mistakes, but we are all evolving and we are all going to eventually overcome. Sorry, Dani, go back to you.
So independently from of the place where the spirits were coming from, we were originated the same. That doesn't change. Or it depends on the
What
planet you were originated.
we were created by God, and we started somewhere. Our first incarnation as primitives was somewhere, not
Somewhere.
necessarily Capella, could have been in other worlds. And we came to Earth eventually during our progress at a certain point that we don't have any information. But what information we have is that the majority of the population of Earth, their first incarnation as an individual spirit was not on Earth. We are all aliens.
I told that to Olivia. She was like, okay, Mom, we're all aliens. But when we are created, it changes if you are in different planets or different places.
We are all created the same.
The
Simple.
same.
Yeah.
But the way we evolve is different.
It's
Depending on
it's individual. So you have your surroundings, but you have your own evolutionary path, which is your own choices that you make. So some progress faster than others, but our origin is all the same. Simple and unaware. If you don't like the word ignorant, some people think it's offensive. Simple and unaware, or without any intellectual development. Okay.
54. If the human species cannot be traced back to a single ancestor, should humans stop regarding one another as brothers and sisters? Under God, all human beings are brothers and sisters, animated by a spirit having the same goal. The human mind is inclined to interpret words literally.
Yeah, that's the question that Kardec asks is what, unfortunately, many people think, right? That we are all different. Races are different, that we are not children of God because we are different from one another, and some are superior to others. What the Spirit tells us is that under God, all human beings are brothers and sisters, animated by a spirit and having the same goal, which is to evolve morally and intellectually. And again, if we have a single ancestor, if we came from the ancestor that we shared with the chimpanzees, if we came from another world, what really matters is how we are dealing with our progress. If we are making an effort to become better individuals every day, if we are making that effort, we are moving forward. And again, where we started is interesting. It's a good subject to study, but it cannot distract us from the objective of evolving and practicing charity. Without charity, there is no salvation. But again, it's important for us to study and understand what the problem is when we start losing too much time on something that we cannot either accept or understand. So if this is something that is difficult for us to understand at the moment, let's leave it aside, and eventually we can come back to that. I always say that we are studying the Spirit's book for the 8th time or 9th time, and every week I learn new things when I'm preparing for the classes. So we have eternity ahead of us for us to learn all this, and eventually we will learn. Okay.
Existence of multiple worlds. Are all the planets that revolve in space inhabited? Yes, and the people on Earth are far from being the leaders in intelligence, goodness, and general development, despite what they may believe. There are many people who have such a high opinion of themselves and even believe that your little world alone has the privilege of being inhabited by intelligent beings. What an arrogant thought. They believe that God has created the universe only for them. God has populated planets with living beings, all of which have a role in the ultimate divine plan. Believing that living beings are confined to the one point of the universe inhabited by us casts doubt on God's wisdom. God has done nothing in vain and must have assigned a purpose to every other world that is more important than merely serving as a lovely backdrop for our planet. Furthermore, there is nothing in the position, size, or physical makeup of Earth that warrants the assumption that it alone, of the thousands of planets in space, has the privilege of being inhabited.
That's a very interesting question, right? Because 170 years ago, the spirits are telling here that all planets that revolve in space are inhabited. The spirits don't, they just say yes. So the answer from the spirits is direct. All planets that revolve in space are inhabited. Nowadays, we go even further, saying that also there are spirits in the sun and the other stars, which does not mean that there are incarnated spirits in all worlds and all stars and planets. We're saying that there are spirits there, but there are transitory worlds that have only discarnated spirits, that have no incarnated spirits. They are called transitory worlds. But this is something, of course, we cannot go to science to look for this, because science is going to tell us that only Earth is inhabited so far. They haven't found any proof of other worlds being inhabited. For those that believe that aliens are around us, they are saying that, aliens come from other planets and they are already here. Again, there is no, science has not proved that also. And what Spiritism tells us, and we have to stay with Spiritism, is all worlds are inhabited. Not all worlds are inhabited by incarnated spirits. Some of them has only discarnate spirits. Why? Why there are worlds with only discarnate spirits? Well, every spirit has to have a place to call home. So a spirit that is moving, let's talk about Earth, going from a world of trials and atonements to a world of regeneration. A spirit that is moving from Earth to a less evolved planet. So it has to leave the surroundings of Earth because it's no longer going to reincarnate on Earth. Where are they going? They're going to be lost in space? No, they're going to go to a planetary transitory planet, that they are going to stay there until they are allocated to a new planet. That's an example. On the other way also, let's say, again, the going to a less evolved planet, you are going in groups. Going to a more evolved planet, you go individually. So let's say now I evolved enough that Earth became too backwards for me. I need to go to a more evolved planet. But while I'm not here on Earth and I'm not there on the new planet, I will stay in this transitory planet that will serve as my home for a certain period of time. And again, remember, time is a concept that is also fluid, because time as we understand on Earth is one thing, time in space is a different thing. So, the spirits are being very straightforward, saying that Earth is far from being leaders in intelligence, goodness, and general development. And we know that. Many people still believe that we are the most advanced planet in the universe because it's the only planet in the universe that has spirits or that has humans. or has population. But if you believe in God as the creator, and you look at the universe, the size that the universe is, to conclude that only Earth is inhabited, it doesn't make any sense. Because why would God create an infinite universe for this very small, insignificant planet to have inhabited? So for us in Spiritism, it doesn't make any sense. Kardec tells us, you know, and again, you have to remember that was at a time that we barely came out of the notion that Earth was not the center of everything, right? That Galileo Galilei, 100 years before, or 200 years before, brought the notion that Earth was going around the sun and was almost killed for that. And actually, Copernicus was killed for that. So we were still very young in saying that Earth was not the center of the universe. And the spirits are already telling us that it's not only not the center of the universe, but it's nothing relevant in the universe. And Kardec goes a little bit further, you know, telling us that if you believe in God and you believe in a God all powerful, all just, it doesn't make sense to have one planet on the whole universe inhabited. But again, we have to stay with what the spirits tells us. There is nothing science can tell us here that proves something different. Science hasn't proved that it doesn't exist, and it hasn't proved that it exists.
$56.
Just a second. Orlando sent a question. Can the spirit world give us an update regarding what they are doing on Earth to correct the mistake of evil spirit? What they're doing is to give us endless opportunities to learn from our own mistakes and to correct our mistakes and continue our evolutionary path. We are here to evolve morally and intellectually. There are inferior spirits. There are spirits that are less evolved even than the average. And the spirits that are no longer able to continue here on Earth eventually will be moved to a less evolved planet as we go through this transition to a world of regeneration. So the spirit world, everything is planned according to God's perfect law. Okay. It's 56.
Do all planets have the same physical constitution? No, they do not resemble one another at all.
That's very interesting, right? The spirits are telling us the planets do not resemble one another at all. And science has proved to us, right? Jupiter, Saturn are planets formed of gas. Planets from Mercury to Mars are planets that are solid planets. And so they have different physical constitutions. When we study the atmosphere of Mars and the atmosphere of Venus, which is the places that science has studied, we find Venus temperatures that are scorching, that no humans can survive, and Mars, the lack of oxygen, the same thing. But they question if there wasn't something similar to humans that lived in Mars at a certain point. They are still studying that in the expeditions to Mars. If these planets do not have the same physical constitution, we're going to see in the next question. Of course, the spirits that inhabit those planets cannot have the same constitution. So when we talk about a planet like Jupiter, and you talk about spirits inhabiting Jupiter, incarnated in Jupiter, they have to have a completely different physical constitution of spirits inhabiting on Earth. Okay?
57.
Yep.
As the physical constitution of the various planets is not the same for all, do the beings inhabiting those worlds have a different type of body and physical makeup? Of course, just as fish in your world are designed for living in water and birds for the air.
The spirits gives us a perfect answer here, right? Because we just have to look around us, right? Can human beings live inside the ocean? No, they'll drown. Can human beings live on air? No, gravity will kill them. But we have birds and we have fish. So it's possible to live underwater, and it's possible to live in the air. So if this is possible, we can only conclude that it is possible for him to live in different planets under different type of body and physical makeup, right? It's only logical. The problem with the scientists is that they are looking, and we were talking here before the studies, they are looking for human beings in other planets. And they're not going to find, because human beings are here on Earth. Other planets are different types of spirits. Science cannot see spirits that are around us, which we don't have a physical body, but has the matter, the material that belongs to Earth, and we cannot see. Now imagine spirits that are incarnated or discarnated in another planet, doesn't have the physical, the material constitution on Earth, so we cannot see them, and science will continue looking for it without finding anything, because they are asking the wrong question. That's what I read the other day, which I thought it was interesting, right? If you're asking the wrong question, you're not going to get the right answer, right?
$58.
Oh, sorry, Danny.
So wouldn't us then as humans be the aliens when we try to understand other worlds, like, for example, go to Mars and leave robots there trying to figure out if it was human life before. I was thinking exactly the same thing. They are asking the wrong question or questions. So would us be the aliens sort of like intruding on their planet, or they probably wouldn't be able to perceive us as well?
They probably wouldn't be able to perceive us if they are at the same level of evolution that we are. If they are more evolved spirits, they may have the ability to perceive us. And again, when we leave a robot on Mars, right? If the inhabitants of Mars are of a different vibrational level, they may not even see the robots, right? They live in a different dimension. The same way we don't see the spirits and we don't see Nos Solar or other spiritual colonies here. So again, it's something that is not easy to imagine and to accept the concept, because we can see the planet, we can see the desert that is Mars. Why can't we see anything else that is there, right? It's difficult to wrap our hands around, and I understand that. And I'm still hoping for more developments and discoveries coming from the spiritual world or from our own science. But based on what the spirits tells us, yes, there are spirits incarnated in Mars, and again, we have information of them being more evolved and less evolved. Jupiter, it is told that they are more evolved. Well, it's more the most developed planet on our solar system is Jupiter, according to the spirits. But we can't really fully understand how the process works. I don't think we have even words to describe what would be a spirit incarnated in Jupiter, because we don't have the concept of the dimension of what would be the physical body. In the planet that's formed of gas, we can imagine that the physical body has to be formed of some sort of gas, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. But again, it's just speculation that we need to more information and more studies.
So could the reverse be true? Like other inhabitants from other planets coming to Earth, and like I don't know how these people live here. I don't know.
Not see us?
Yeah.
Possible, right?
NASA has acknowledged that they have detected flying objects and
Unidentified flying objects, but they
yeah.
never admitted that it's from other worlds.
Yeah, they just said we detected, we don't know what it is, we can't see it, but it's detected, it's there, right? And there was this journalist that reports only news about NASA talking to another journalist. And then when he says that, the journalist asks him like, oh, so we could be attacked by aliens like we see in movies, maybe? And he said, well, we are so self-centered. Why would they attack us? We might be so insignificant, like, or so less evolved that they like, who cares? It's another planet in this infinity, of planets. And the journalist was like, oh, maybe, right? So there could be maybe other beings visiting us in the same way we are visiting Mars, we're visiting the moon.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion, is that they are here doing research without interfering with our planet. They are just doing research, and then they have to be more evolved than we are, intellectually more evolved, because to have the ability to come here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able. We can't go to outside the solar system because we don't have the technology. They already advanced and have the technology, so they may be able to come. So why would they interfere on Earth? I agree with the journalist. They have no reason to interfere here on Earth. We are not relevant. They are just doing research here and everywhere else that they, like we will do research all around as long as we can, and as our technology develops, we are going to do more and more research. But we have no plan to interfere in any planet, right? You haven't heard anything that NASA saying we are going to invade Mars or we're going to invade, because there is no logical reason for this. So more evolved planets will have even less reason to interfere with us, right? Orlando, I don't know if this is a question. I don't know how to answer that. Recognizing a spirit, if you see a human and look away for 2 seconds and it disappears, you have seen a spirit. Probably. Yes, very possible. Mediums will be able to see spirits that are there, and sometimes they will see and they'll look again and the spirit's no longer there. Known mediums can see a spirit if it materializes in front of one person and then disappears. Possible, yes. Okay. Okay, last question.
58. Are the planets furthest removed from the sun deprived of light and heat, since the sun only appears to be a tiny star to them? Are you assuming that there are no other sources of light and heat than the sun? Are you completely dismissing electricity, which in some worlds plays a role unknown to you and which is much more important than the role it plays on Earth. Besides, how do you know that the beings of those worlds see the same way you do, with organs like yours? The conditions of existence for the beings inhabiting different worlds must be adapted to the world in which they are destined to live. If we had never seen fish, we would not be able to comprehend how any living being could survive in water. This same idea applies to all the other worlds, which most likely contain elements that are unknown to us. On our own planet, the long polar nights are illuminated by the electrical displays of the aurora borealis, commonly called the northern lights. Is it impossible to imagine that electricity may be more abundant in other worlds compared to ours and play a role that we cannot even fathom? According to this argument, those worlds could contain different sources of heat and light required by their inhabitants.
If we talk about our own ocean, we know less about the deep ocean than we know about space, science, according to science. Science knows more about the universe than it knows about the deep sea, which is kilometers and kilometers down, miles and miles down under the sea. We cannot reach there. We don't have the capacity and the technology to reach the deep ocean. But we know that there are living beings there, right? So they live without any source of light or heat because it's freezing down there. So
The weight of the water.
and the weight of the water also, right? So if there are beings that live there, we just have to relate to, places that have less source of light or heat from the sun, different type of spirits that adapt themselves, they're adapted to the places that they live. It's very logical when we think about it, when we reflect on a planet like Neptune, right? That is one of the furthest planets from the sun. It takes around forever to go around the sun, and it receives very little light and almost no heat. So the spirits to live there have to be used to not need light or heat to survive. The same way that the beings that live in the deep sea do not need heat or light and can withstand the weight of the water. It's just making analogies to what we see here on Earth with the rest of the universe. There are solar systems that have two suns, right? They have more than one sun. How can we imagine a place that is surrounded by two suns? Can we imagine there is no night or both suns illuminate at the same time?
Somewhere all the time.
It's summer all the time, or they are far enough to be winter all the time, or like the desert that you have very cold nights and very hot days. And there are those that survive the desert, right? Camels can walk to the desert because they have the ability to preserve the water. So again, everything that exists in the universe is appropriate for where they are and the conditions that they exist. And spirits living in those places are adapted to those conditions. Okay? All right, so for next week, we have biblical considerations and concordances regarding creation. It's the long explanation by Kardec on everything that we studied here today. And then we finish this part, and then we go to the last item of chapter 2. Okay. This Saturday we have a lecture by Daniel Ortiz Martinez, Reincarnation, Connecting Ourselves to Our Past, Present, and Future. He's going to talk about a deep dive into the concept of reincarnation and how we can shape our thoughts, deeds, and ultimately our own lives. The discussion about the correlation of reincarnation and the divine justice will be presented, emphasizing the fact that today's individuals are nothing more than the results of our acts and choices from past lives, and that our future selves will be the inheritors of our present deeds. The Psychology and Spirituality, tomorrow at 6 p.m., episode 54, A Sick World, Overcoming Crisis. You can listen both of them or watch both of them through the United States Spiritist Federation YouTube page. Okay? This Sunday is the last Sunday of the month. We are going to have our Q&A session. Please bring your questions. Book Club, Chapter 3 of Book 2, Ill-Fated Diamonds by Divaldo Franco and Victor Hugo. That's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And for those that ask if we are open next Monday, yes, we are. We are closed only on federal holidays, President's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and if Christmas or New Year's fall on one of our days of our meetings, okay? Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Oh, sorry, logging on here. Thank you so much, John, for hosting, and Philip, thank you very much for reading this evening. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we are grateful for the opportunity to be together once again as brothers and sisters for our study of the Spirit's book. We are created by God. The universe is infinite. Humankind is very diverse due to climate, lifestyles, and habits, in which migration fanned out initially from Africa. This expansion spread out to the 4 major regions, which were Egypt, Iran, Iraq, India, and Europe. We are spirits that originated from other worlds to our planet Earth. We were created simple and unaware without intellectual development. However, we are evolving through moral advancement and intellectual development. We evolve by practicing goodness and charity, which is love in action. There are also spirits on the sun and other worlds that do not always have physical bodies. Earth is not the center of the universe. As we humans evolve here, the Earth too will evolve to a planet of regeneration. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us, and for our loved ones, our teachers, the directors, the counselors, the mediums, the workers, and everyone who is participating. We pray for inner peace, and especially now for world peace, and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center, SGNY, and all Spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, expand, and always be protected. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to our family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. May we remind ourselves now to go forth as beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service and charity, which is love in action. So be it.